everyone, my name is Jake, and today we are going to be talking over the recent, let's just say, events which have happened in the state of Maine Senate election. I believe I covered this election a couple months ago. Since then, a lot of things have changed. Let's just go with an overview of what happened first, and then we'll get into the recent events. So, Susan Collins is the incumbent senator. Now, you may be wondering, if you don't know about politics, why is Maine electing a Republican senator? Well, Maine, of course, is a Democratic state. It votes usually for the Democrats in presidential elections. Hasn't voted for a Republican since, I believe, the 90s or 80s. But Susan Collins was elected a very long time ago, first of all. She was first elected in 1997, which means she was elected in 96. Back then, a lot of states would elect Democrats even if they were typically Republicans, and the other way around, just because it was less partisan. They would elect moderates, which she is. She is a moderate Republican, which is why she was able to be elected in Maine. So they elected her. She was reelected in 2002, 08, 14, 20, and she's running for re-election again in 2026. Now, the important thing to note about her is that she is a notoriously overperformer in the polls. So in 2020, she was projected to lose by around 5 points, and basically everyone was predicting she was going to lose. She ended up winning by nearly 10 points, which just shows how just unreliable the polls are for her. It never does it right for her, because she also, in 2014, she overperformed by around 10 points. So whatever the polls say, take them with a couple thousand grains of salt, just because it's Susan Collins and she never does what the polls expect. And for the Democratic primary, there are really two candidates here. First of all, we have the governor of Maine. You think they'd be a real challenger, but then we have a oyster farmer named Graham Platner who has the scandal, who I will talk about. And I don't think Mills ever really wanted to campaign. We can see that by the scandals that came out. They are bad for Platner, which I will talk about. I don't know how her campaign ever found them, because they were right out there. I feel like anyone could have saw it coming, because the first scandal that came out was a tattoo that he had in October, which I can't say what it was, or else I will probably be banned. But he has been scandalous every single week of his campaign. Everyone has seen it. It's ridiculous how many scandals he has. I can name 11 off the top of my head, but I don't feel like doing it. So he won the primary. And in the general election, I'm going to start the polls around here. You can see how he was leading basically every poll. He was leading by around 7 points, which is a lot, but Collins was still obviously in this because of polls underperforming her. But polls started to tighten recently, and one of those reasons why is because he was accused of SA, and it really tightened up the polling numbers, and he was not a good candidate for Maine. He, in my opinion, is a very bad candidate for Maine, because even though Maine is leaning Democratic, he's very progressive. So I don't know why I don't know why he was a candidate, because Maine's just not really the state for this. It's not like New York. It's not like California. It's pretty moderate, and it's also very rural, which really won't help him. And so we can go to Vote Hub here, which is a new thing I found. You can see the projections were that Platner had a 58% chance of winning. But the problem for him was, in 2020, the Democratic candidate had like a 90% chance of winning, and they still lost by 10 points. So, in my opinion, before the scandal was released, I think Collins still had a very, very good shot. I thought she was definitely the favorite. But yesterday, in what I think was an intentional move that the Democrats found to give up this scandal, because the way Maine works is, even if the primary is over, he can still drop out and the Democrats can still appoint a candidate. So with this scandal that released, which is, you can read it here. So there's this whole article here which says everything about it. Now, a lot of this stuff I don't want to read. I read the whole article. There are very serious allegations in here of SA, and even worse. And so what happened after this? Immediately, a lot of people were revoking the endorsements. It kind of reminded me of what happened with Swalwell in California. And what's crazy about this is that this is not even the main scandal. All right, there are allegations of much, much worse, which are credible allegations because people have seen the allegations. They have not put it out though. But if he drops out, which at this point is a very real possibility because he's suspended a lot of his campaigning, and so I think he will probably drop out within a couple hours, in my opinion. But if he doesn't drop out, he is certain to lose just because of how insane these allegations are. And he's denying them. But the problem is, we all know it's true. And the way I know that is because there's credible reports of like 15 different women from it. Well, I don't know if that's an exaggeration, but they are credible reports. And so, before the polls, they were tightening up. If he stays in, he will most likely lose by quite a lot. I think he will drop out, however, and in that case, they will probably pick up one of the main governor candidates, where there's a couple of Democratic candidates, so they'll pick up one of them. But at this point, this is something not that Collins wants. Collins doesn't want Platinum to drop out. If I was the Republicans, I would keep these scandals under wraps, and the day after he cannot drop out, you release them all at once. Because the problem is, because releasing them now just no use for them because he's just going to drop out and you'll get someone else to run against who I think Collins will probably lose if it's not Platner, but she still has a chance of winning even if it's not Platner. But if it is Platner, she's going to win. It's pretty simple. But that's the overview of what happened. I would stay alert to see if he drops out because I feel like it's going to happen any second now. And by any second now, it could be in 5 days. But thank you guys for watching and goodbye.